What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Ross the Boss coming at you with an all-new Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4. You can see here that we did begin our invasion of Finland, and you can see that we do have quite an abundance of troops. Finland doesn't have any allies, and they are not in any type of faction, so I do believe they are going to fall fairly quickly. We have a variety of units. Not only do we have a tank general, but we have 9 infantry units up in this direction. We have 19... Nope, these are in Poland. We have 16 troops and an additional 10, with some motorized infantry. Tanatuva is part of my faction. They wish to join. I might as well allow them to. And Mongolia wishes to join as well. They are part of my faction. You can see here that if I go into my faction map mode, the Comintern has included Tanatuva and, of course, Mongolia. Let's go back to Finland. See what we are taking. I'm hoping all of these provinces are moving somewhat. Where are my brown units? Are they moving at all? I wonder why these units aren't moving. Let's go ahead and try to force them if we can. You go here. That's why. You don't have enough men. Well, we'll force what we can. Right now, if we go into our logistics map mode, we went from negative 30,000 down to negative 418. So we are producing quite a bit of equipment. You can see here we did finally make our small push inside Finland, moving closer and closer to Helsinki. Helsinki is worth 15 victory points, which is quite an abundance. Once their capital falls and a few other major cities, we should be able to get a capitulation without taking all of their territory. And our light tanks are very fast, making their way over. Beeline straight to Helsinki, and boom, we now have the capital. Finland Officers' Concession. Our soldiers are needed elsewhere. We can peace with Finland, only gaining a few of their provinces, or I can, of course, try to be greedy and take all of Finland, which, of course, we are going to try to do. Let the games play on. These 5 light tanks can make their way up to Vasa after taking this very small province of Turku. My goal is to take over all of Finland and have them capitulate, so that way I don't need to hire any Marines, which I don't have any at all, to take over Åland here. These light tanks are so fast, it's ridiculous. We have now unlocked militarized schools, giving us more recruitable population, which is very nice to see. More recruitable population means I won't need to improve my volunteer laws right now, my conscription laws. You know, I can move from volunteer only to limited conscription, extensive conscription, and then forcing all adults to serve, and even the elderly and children, which is kind of funny. Moving you into Vasa. And, of course, we now have the ability for a new national focus, finally unlocking workers' culture. Mongolia wants to send an expeditionary force. We are going to decline. It was free units, but we don't necessarily need them. Here goes their new capital of Vasa, about to fall. Boom. I'm hoping for a capitulation very soon. And here we are. We now own all of, Finland because of the Treaty of Lappi. If we go into Finland, take all states, we have now unlocked Åland as well. And end our turn, and done. Very excited, but we now have an abundance of new land, boosting the world tension up to 20%. At 25%, France and the United Kingdom have the ability to guarantee the independence of other countries, making it a lot more challenging for me to grow. So I am very happy I did grow in this way. Once again, I'm going to take these units, create a new front line on Sweden, probably splitting them in half, and creating the other units on a new front line here. And we'll see what that looks like. So these 9 have been moved. All of these units can stay. Where are all of my tanks at? I believe we're going to move you all to Poland. Preferably here. And once again, assign. We have our 8 light tanks already making their way down. I believe so, at least. Here they are. We have 19 troops on Poland. We have 16 here. They don't need to be either. So I think what we'll do is we'll create a front line here against Romania. And we have an additional 10 units that will also make their way down to Poland. Make a front line. I am expecting the German Reich to attack Poland very, very soon. With all of these units, I think what we're going to do is create a very small garrison of our coastline, so that way we don't get invaded by navies. At least that'll be the goal, not to die by naval invasions. We'll do something along these lines. I'm not even sure we're going to have this many troops, but we'll try our best. The primary goal is to not lose this area. So, in fact, I'm going to move you two here, if I can. I don't know why I can't. Alright, so anyway, our troops are moving to where they need to be. Because we took over all of Finland, I'm expecting to have a small amount of unrest. So what we're going to do is all of our military police here, which are the cavalry units, let's go into recruit and deploy. Find our cavalry. Whoops, we don't want to train anymore just yet. We want to edit this division and go ahead and add military police. These are not fighting units. Essentially, they are going to reduce the amount of suppression in a variety of areas, which will mean we can actually utilize factories. So now all of these units are going to be garrisoned once again, and try to reduce the amount of uprisings in these newly founded territories. We have the ability to modify our government once again. I could move from early mobilization to partial mobilization, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that just yet. Ooh, cancel idea. I would also like to improve my heavy tank design fairly soon, but more importantly, I would love to get some sort of advisor who would give me air experience. But with the Trotsky Purge, or the Great Purge, I really don't want to recruit any generals or advisors who are going to be removed. So I think we'll play it safe. We have the ability to get medium tanks, or at least armor research time, mobile tanks, or heavy tanks. I obviously want better heavy tanks, giving us more armor and heart attack. Unread naval battle. Looks like we lost 2 destroyers because of their submarines. But I am very happy with where we stand. We obviously got a few extra factories from Finland once they get repaired. We got quite a few military factories and quite a few dockyards. When I say quite a few, it was actually very, very few. But I'm happy. Interwar artillery has been researched. It is not 1939, but it is 1937, meaning we can improve our machine tools, giving us an additional 10% production efficiency cap, which means if we go to our production map mode, this can be moved an additional 10%, which is actually pretty broken. Right now, we are completely capped at 60%, so hopefully we can bring that to 70 fairly soon. We are now producing more divisions. I think what I'm going to do... Whoops. I accidentally hired them all. But that's fine. More meat for the grinder, I suppose. Eastern European front does need some additional troops. And possibly some additional tanks. But I think we're going to move you here to Latvia. Add divisions. Now we have 5 on that line. Going back to recruit and deploy, I would really like to go ahead and create more units, preferably in groups of 12. And the reasoning behind that is my goal is to produce 12 units each time, and we can have a maximum of 24 per general. So that way we don't have any odd numbers like 27 or anything crazy. Going into Soviet Union, once again, if we go into our construction map mode, once we finish up all of these civilian factories, I'm going to be producing as many military factories as I possibly can. And I might even go ahead and get war economy very soon. Or partial mobilization before war economy. The goal, of course, is to utilize less consumer good factories. If I have less consumer good factories being used, it would allow me to produce more quicker, if that makes any sense. Okay, so once again, we have a very weak defense. And I might want to go ahead and get some actual troops defending these borders. I could go ahead and make all of these units changed, and I might just do that. I believe I can change division template. I can't do it the way I wanted to. The Hindenburg disaster, and we have unlocked workers' culture. All of these units are going to be changed to actual divisions of infantry, which I believe it is this. We are going to lose 39,000 manpower, 3,640 infantry equipment, and quite a bit of towed artillery, but we will gain 140 equipment, support equipment. Once again, we have unlocked workers' culture, giving us additional construction speed. I would like to get women in aviation, but maybe not just yet. Let's try to improve some of our areas, at least for the time being. You know what? I think we are going to finally begin the Great Purge. A series of show trials will be held to purge suspected Trotskyite members and leaders. The number of purges completed will affect the likelihood of a renewed civil war and scale the effect from officers' purge. If we don't pick it, we'll have a civil war anyway. Now, I'm going to have a lot of negative events coming up very soon. The fifth column, the persecution of enemies of the people, those who would reverse or subvert the revolution, has been ongoing policy since the party came to power. The internal power struggles that followed have shifted our focus, and purging the party ranks themselves has been given more emphasis since Trotsky's exile. Stalin has made himself an icon, but at the cost of making many real enemies and innumerable imaginary ones. Having seen the worst of internal power struggles, the General Secretary is prone to act on the slightest suspicion. Being purged from the party means an imprisonment or death. Dark times lie ahead for those who show disloyalty or just a bit too much loyalty to seem credible. We are about to purge a great number of our officers, but luckily we haven't purchased any with our political power just yet. Have any of our infantry been recruited? Looks like they are on their way. And very soon, we're also going to want to go ahead and produce a lot more artillery. It's going to take quite some time to be completed. If we look at construction, we are almost completed with our very first set of building queues, our civilian factories. We have finally completed 2 of our planes, unlocking a tactical bomber and a close air support. We are in the year 1937, going to be unlocking construction 2. And possibly the radio. Reinforcement rate plus 5%. My goal is to get some radio towers and, of course, a very small airbase here on Elan. Let's finally begin working on some of our land doctrines. Looks like we already have some of the mass assault doctrines, which, of course, if we scroll over, Perfect weapons are overrated. A large number of good enough weapons is the path to victory. And the goal, of course, is throwing everything you have at the enemy because we have so many men to spare. We're going to be now unlocking pocket defense. These doctrines take a very, very long time to complete, but of course they are very nice to have and can certainly give you the advantage in any fight. Modify our government. I would like to unlock early mobilization or maybe even trade change our export laws up around. We are still producing quite a few convoys, though we only have 67 for the time being. I really hope none of them get destroyed. Looks like a lot of our civilian factories are about to be finished, 17th of June, so in the next 3 days. And it looks like we have early mobilization, which of course is negative 10%. If we change that, it could be a lot nicer. And I think I might. Can we get partial mobilization or war economy? I would love to go ahead and get war economy. But would this cost me 300? I wonder why, why not just go to total mobilization? That's really the only thing I just don't understand. There doesn't seem to be any negative effect. Well, let's go to partial mobilization just in case there is a negative effect that I don't notice. Now, I have played Hearts of Iron 4 a few times, but it's certainly not nearly the amount of time I've invested into Europa Universalis. So there are a few things I still need to learn. Amelia Earhart disappears, a loss for aviation. And the trial of anti-Soviet Trotskyist Center. Gonna pause the game. Despite Leon Trotsky being forced into exile, Joseph Stalin fears that he has secret supporters within the party. A series of rapid arrests and brutal interrogations have yielded confessions and testimonies conveniently pointed to some of Stalin's rivals. However, the most questions are asked and deeper the secret police delves into letters and journals, the more people are implicated, if indirectly. Party members are beginning to believe that Stalin's absolute power and the death of his wife have isolated him to the point where he perceives anyone as a threat. But isn't that exactly what a traitor would say? Kalinin's wife is suspected, he cannot be trusted either. Khrushchev's dabbled with Trotskyism in the past, he must go. Radek's confession point to several people within the party. And of course, party members can be trusted, this paranoia must cease. Will lead to a civil war in the future. Well, I could get national unity. Oh, excuse me. I could lose this advisor forever, which the national unity would be nice. I don't think we're really going to want the daily communism support, so we can go ahead and remove you. And let's begin our time. So that was just one of the trials. We're going to have so many more trials coming up, and it's just going to seem like an abundance of disasters. Looks like our world tension has gone down. But of course, I am very happy with all of my newly acquired land. We're going to be producing quite a bit of not only civilian factories, but military factories as well. And of course, we are going to be diving in and building some naval dockyards, giving us a variety of battleships, which we haven't unlocked yet. The German-Soviet Treaty. Despite harsh previous rhetoric against both the people and the ideological leadership of the Soviet Union, Adolf Hitler and Germany has now reached out to us, requesting a mutually beneficial research treaty, while exchanging knowledge would help our efforts to develop new tank designs, along with promises of other research benefits in the future. There is little doubt, considering previous statements, that the Germans are doing this for their own sake. Should we go forward with their agreement despite the risk of aiding Adolf Hitler's ambitions? Ooh, I would love to have these tank designs. And 50% research bonus for armor technology, 100% reduced ahead of time penalty for medium tank models. Ooh. I am going to take both of these. And if we now look at our research, once we get improved machine tools, if we go into armor, I might as well try to go ahead and unlock the medium tank. But we are going to have to get the BT-7. Marco Polo Bridge Incident. Japanese and Chinese forces have skirmished inconclusively over the strategic Marco Polo Bridge, located just southwest of Beijing. So Japan and China are starting to gather quite a bit of world tension. looks like we are still waiting for a lot of our troops to be deployed. And I really want to go ahead and get quite a few more military factories, drastically improving the amount of artillery that we're producing. And Manchuria has quite a bit of troops as well. We might need to go ahead and gather more units on top of Manchuria. Maybe getting another light tank as well. Okay, well anyway, we have now improved machine tools. We are most likely... let's see if there's anything else that we drastically need. I would love to get radar fairly soon. Most likely going to be getting the BT-7, but having a 50% reduction for heavies could be quite nice. But I think we're going to get the BT-7 for now, only because it takes 55 days. And that will drastically improve the amount of medium tanks that we can throw out. Let's also go ahead and compare both of those. So, once we unlock the medium tank, we want to also compare the heavy tank. Wonder if there's a way to get both of these at once. Aha, there we are. So, the heavy tank has 6 defense. Not really that much better. Same breakthrough, a little bit more soft attack. With our A32, we are looking for the hard attack, though. 12.6 versus 14.7. So it looks like our medium tanks are not only a lot cheaper, but they're also a lot more effective. And, of course, they don't take nearly as much to produce. So it's going to be really nice being able to pump out some A32s. And we are going to go ahead and improve our heavy tanks when we can. Also, let's go ahead and start constructing a coastal fort in Aland, and we also want to get 2 air bases. And it would be nice to get a radar dish, but everything comes in time. These are, of course, at the very end of our production interface. Let's add a few military factories inside the rurals here, quite far away from combat. And that way they won't be able to get burned down fairly easily at all. Insufficient resources. Looks like we need rubber. Rubber for what? Are we building airplanes? The secret trial of the generals. The Red Army has always been home to subversive elements ever since Trotsky himself was Commissar of War. Documents acquired by the NKVD have implicated several high-ranking officers as not only traitors, but spies. Mikhail Turkashevsky is among the most prominent of the suspects and one Stalin is keen to get rid the army of. Meanwhile, the Navy's frequent contact with foreigners has led to many of them being arrested as well. Although there are documents from our enemies proving their guilt, there is no telling if they fabricated them, or if they were given false information by those who wanted this purge in motion to begin with. Trotsky must be tied in secret and executed immediately. Rokovsky refuses to confess but cannot be allowed to live. We're going to go ahead, or of course false documents and forced confessions are not proof. We are going to go ahead and have a secret trial and try to execute him immediately. Now, it looks like we have completed 12 additional units. Might as well create, put you on another border with Manchuria. Bring you over to the Eastern European front. Here we are. We are going to create a small front line like this. And then you, if we click Edit Front Line, we are going to make this smaller. That way we have a lot more men and it can be a lot easier to manage if Manchuria decides to declare, or excuse me, if Japan decides to declare war on me. Though I do suspect they are going to be going after China fairly soon. Once we begin getting a few more military factories, I really want to go ahead and produce, of course, more artillery and, of course, some medium tanks. Unpausing the game might be a very big benefit. Now, both of these units here can go ahead and create a general. The conflict with China is worrying. Japanese buildup on Chinese border. And we are going to give you a general as well. Japan has declared war on China. Now, of course, if I was to declare war on either Japan or Manchuria, they would join the Axis, and that would be very detrimental to my cause, because then I would be at war with German Reich and Italy. But of course, I would like to declare war on Iran, but as soon as I justify a war goal at 25%, I guarantee you another country will most likely try to secure the independence of Iran, or declare the independence of Iran. Looks like we now have the 100% reduced ahead of time penalty, unlocking the A-32 in 1937. Outdated equipment in production. Let's improve our light tank. We have unlocked the radio. Now, of course, if we don't have any other industry that we can unlock, we obviously don't want excavation because we have so many resources as it is. We are now going to unlock our radar dishes. Chinese United Front forms. Xiang and Mao have issued a joint announcement declaring that they have set aside their differences in the face of Japanese attack. An unstable alliance. Japan is going to kick China's butt. I guarantee you it's about to happen. And all we're really doing right now is gearing up and trying to... We obviously don't want this world tension to get too high, but it's going to get to 100 no matter what we do. I'm expecting the German Reich to either take most of Austria or, of course, take quite a few pieces of Czechoslovakia very soon. Though that might happen in the next year or so. The United Kingdom is encouraging colonial elites. Unfortunately, my decryption is too low and I can't determine what that is. Grand Battery, most likely gearing up their fortifications on the Maginot Line. I have the ability to modify our government once again. The Trial of 21. After several rounds of arrests and trials, the Great Purge has weaved a narrative that led up to this trial. Among the accused are not only leaders not only old leaders like Nikolai Bukharin, but a number of diplomats, politicians, military officials, and even many high-ranking NKVD officers. The charges are also more extensive than previously, include decade-old plots to murder Soviet leaders and sell the Union to its enemies. The fact that the NKVD themselves are now among the targets of the Purge has, in a sense, brought the proceedings in full circle. Threats and beatings have led to many confessions to all charges, even though the most outlandish ones, the leading defendants, face execution. The Navy and Air Force have been getting off easy. As we suspected, enemies are everywhere. The trial has gone too far. Soon we will have killed all of our own. This will lead to a civil war in the future. The Navy and Air Force has been getting off very easy, so we'll go ahead and select that one. And of course, we have the ability to unlock a new research slot. Most likely going to be upgrading an air doctrine. I would like to get tactical bombers and are flexible and can perform both ground support and regular bombing. I could get strategic destruction. By bombing the enemy factories either by night or more dangerously during the day, we can seriously hinder their war machine. Ooh, I don't know what I want to do. If I got strategic destruction, I could really put some hurt on the German Reich, and I think that's probably going to be my #1 goal. And of course, if we go back to my research, I am currently getting air superiority with his fighter detection plus 10%, giving me a very powerful protection. And looks like I'm going to have to go ahead, pause the game, and put a cut in here. As always, thank you so much for joining me. I hope you all have an awesome day, and I will see you in our next adventure.